We're getting into the home stretch here of Discovery episodes, only 2 left after this one, and it looks as though we're getting a few answers. Maybe not the answers we were expecting, though, as this episode takes a pretty significant left turn from some of my expectations for the season of Discovery. Not a bad thing, definitely, and really curious to see where it all goes from here. Hey Star Trek fans, Dan Gunther here, bringing you my thoughts on the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery, Season 3, Episode 11, Su'Kal. As usual, the first part of this review will be spoiler-free, but stick around after the spoiler warning where I get into the plot. So first of all, I think the episode had some great character moments for a lot of our crew, most especially I would say Saru and Tilly really get a chance to shine here. We also get some insights into kind of the main antagonist of the season, as well as some of the big mysteries that are surrounding what's going on in the season. Again, as I said at the beginning, maybe not some of the answers we were expecting, but some definitely interesting directions and some things that I'm going to kind of reserve judgment about until I know more, because I think at this early stage it's really hard to say where everything is going. I think Culber also gets an interesting turn in this episode, as well as Adira. So yeah, some really interesting movement on each of their stories. I will say that the episode ends on a cliffhanger, which was not entirely expected, but it looks like the final 3 episodes of the season will kind of all be one overarching story, even more so than just the general season is. So that was an interesting turn for the episode to take, and yeah, definitely when those ending credits appear, you're a little frustrated because, oh no, I need to know more, but it's kind of the point, I guess, get us to be watching the next 2 episodes. So there were parts of this episode that I truly enjoyed, and some parts that leave me scratching my head a little bit, but again, just waiting to see where this all goes and what those ultimate answers are. So yeah, I definitely recommend this episode. I think my co-host Bruce Gibson put it best on the Positively Trek podcast when he said, you know, these final 3 episodes of the season, it feels like to him that they'll be ones that you watch together as a block, rather, you know, if you're wanting to see how season 3 ends, because I think we're really building towards the end game here. And again, I'm really fascinated to see where it goes. With that said, let's get into the spoilers now and talk about the plot of the episode. So the Discovery has tracked the distress call from this Kelpian ship to the Verubin Nebula. They arrive there, and the radiation is such that it's difficult for Discovery to navigate and get through, so they send Book's ship to kind of scout ahead and determine a place where the Discovery can pop in for a few seconds and then pop away without losing too much shield power. Meanwhile, while all of this is going on, the Kelpian homeworld is apparently under attack by Osira's forces, the Emerald Chain, which is obviously kind of pulling Saru in different directions. We see in this episode his resolve is kind of tested here, and I think this is going to be a major test of his command abilities. I'm wondering where this is going. We saw, of course, in the previous episode, Philippa Georgiou telling Burnham that she is also suited to the captain's chair, and you know, I'm wondering if we're setting Saru up for a fall here. I really hope not. I hope that's not the direction the story is going. I think it's going to ultimately end with Saru proving himself and being a good captain. My hope is maybe he gets promoted to be like an aide to Admiral Vance, and Burnham gets into the captain's chair of the Discovery that way. I feel like Burnham is being set up to be the captain in season 4. Just a feeling I have. I don't know. There's a bit of evidence towards that, but I hope it's not at the expense of Saru. I think Burnham absolutely deserves it, but I think Saru does as well. So I just hope it's not the fall of Saru, basically. So the Discovery sends an away team of Culber, Burnham, and Saru down to the ship, and they appear to be on the surface of a planet. It turns out they're actually inside a holodeck on the ship. Interestingly enough, this holographic environment also changes the appearance of the 3 crew members. We see Culber as a Bajoran, Burnham as a Trill, and most interestingly, Saru appears as a human. So this is the first time we see Doug Jones in Star Trek Discovery without the Kelpian prosthetics. And I thought, Doug Jones was just a real highlight of this episode. His acting is incredible, kind of still evoking those Saru qualities without the prosthetic makeup and, his body movements and stuff. To see that coming from his normal face and body was really interesting. And I don't know. I feel like, first of all, this week was probably a blessing for Doug Jones, who didn't have to sit through that makeup every day. But it was really great to see him in a different role and taking on some unique acting challenges, not having that prosthetic to carry the idea of Saru, instead having to do that solely through acting and facial movements and body language. I thought that was really excellent. Culber also gets some interesting character development here. A conversation with Stamets at the beginning of the episode shows kind of his motivations in taking on this assignment and his need to help this life form, who we will find later in the episode. Burnham, of course, also on the away team and does a great job in kind of connecting with this person they've been sent to find, who is the titular Su'Kal, the son of the Dr. Isa that we saw in the distress call. Apparently the marks on her face meant that she was pregnant, and now 120 some years later, her son is trapped on this planet in this ship by himself in this holographic environment that was apparently created to protect him. However, the holographic environment has essentially become a prison now, and kind of fitting that it was filmed at the Kingston Penitentiary in Kingston, Ontario, a prison in Canada. And his development has been stunted by his lack of interaction with real people. He's had to deal with holograms, these kind of holograms that are teaching him lessons throughout this holo program. So yeah, he's definitely not been socialized very well and has kind of the mind of a child. Interestingly enough, we find out that his tantrum may have caused the initial burn. My guess is when his parents died or his mother died, that's what caused the initial burn. How this exactly happened, Culber kind of has some bit of technobabble about his cells aligning with the dilithium and the radiation of the planet. I feel like there needs to be more of this explanation on the other side of the cliffhanger here, because I'm not really getting it. I'm not criticizing this decision because I don't really get it yet. I don't really understand the mechanism behind it. I'm hoping we get a bit of a further explanation of that, because it's a little confusing to me as to exactly what this is. Maybe it feels not maybe as grand as I thought this build up to what the burn would be, but again, I think there's more to come on this question of what exactly caused the burn, because we see through the actions of this Su'Kal in this episode, a second burn is almost caused by an action that he's taken. So yeah, I'm really curious to see where that all goes, because I don't know, I'm reserving judgment at this point. I also want to talk a little bit about Adira. I think they have some interesting character development in this episode as well. We see at the beginning of the episode that Gray has reappeared, and his explanation for why he disappeared is a little bit, kind of lacking. This is a very odd situation. I think Gray is definitely manifesting as something very separate from Adira, and it has his own kind of outlook on the world. So it seems very different from what we've seen from Trilla in the past. I'm not sure exactly what Gray is. However, at the very end of this episode, Adira beams down to the ship to take anti-radiation meds to the away team that is there. And I'm wondering if Gray is going to appear in this environment somehow as this, disembodied consciousness maybe gets downloaded into a holographic body and appears. That would be really interesting to have other people be able to see Gray. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen there, but I'm really excited to see more on that front. And now for me, I want to talk about what I consider to be the real highlight of this episode, along with Doug Jones's performance, I think, is Tilly's turn in the captain's chair of Discovery. I really loved her confidence and her commandability here. She's really kind of growing into this part. It was great to see her stretch those muscles. And I have to say, I actually really liked Osira, the villain, this time around. I was mixed on her first appearance. I was interested, but, a little bit underwhelmed. This time, I loved her villain facing off against Tilly and the kind of psychological battle that the two of them have. I thought that was a lot of fun. I know I might be in a minority here based on opinions I see online, but I'm really digging Osira and her whole villain aesthetic here. So yeah, I'm really curious to see where this all goes. Of course, by the end of the episode, Osyraa has captured Discovery and used its spore drive to jump away, presumably to Starfleet headquarters, it seems like. And yeah, so things look dire there. That's the big cliffhanger. We have the happenings on the ship where the child Su'Kal is has to face off against this creature in order to escape. And back on Discovery, of course, it's in the hands of Osyraa. We have Book and Burnham on his ship kind of giving chase, it looks like. So hopefully they'll be instrumental in taking back the ship. I also wonder about the sphere data intelligence in Discovery's computer. I feel like it's going to have a role to play in retaking Discovery at some point. These are kind of my guesses for what's to come in the next couple episodes. So with all of that said, I have to say I really enjoyed this episode. Really excited for the conclusion of Discovery's third season. But I want to hear from all of you. What did you think of the episode Su'Kal? I'd love to hear from you. I know reaction to some of the things in this episode has been really mixed, but I would like to hear your opinions, pro or con, to this episode. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you, of course, as always, to the Patreon supporters for all of your help in bringing these episodes to you. I truly do appreciate it and could not do it without you. There are a couple new Patreons for the next month. They will get posted in January, so if you don't see your name here yet, that's the reason why that will be updated in the new year. So thank you so much to everybody new who has pledged to support Kertrats Productions. Again, I really appreciate it. It's a tough time at the moment, and any little bit of help really, really does help. So thank you so much. I'll see you all in the next episode. Until then, as always, live long and prosper.